You could say that the entire first part of this training is really a conversation about this belief that you have, that you are a continuous, persistent self, one that moves through time. You have to let go of this belief if you want to experience yourself as dependently arising. So this is the belief that we are mainly trying to pry you loose from, that you move through time and enter each moment from the previous moment. The idea of birth and death is very important in Zen because it points out that there really is no continuous self, that hundreds of different versions of you get born and die each day as you slide from one emotional state to the next. How it happens goes like this. Something happens in the world, a phenomenal event, like that open refrigerator door. You grab onto that piece of world and start generating concepts around it. An emotional state gets generated, one that turns into an enormously detailed tunnel of thought in which you are at the center. You keep moving down this particular tunnel until it loses its energy and gets replaced by another emotional state that suddenly springs up in response to another phenomena, a different grabbing on. You keep moving down this particular tunnel until it loses its energy and gets replaced by another emotional state in response to another phenomena, a different grabbing on. This happens all day long, and the transitions between tunnels is so seamless that we think there is a permanent me that is moving through all these tunnels. But what is actually happening is quite the opposite. It's constantly generating endless selves, one after another. You stitch these selves together into a single conceptual continuous self, and you think that this is who you are. Let's take a perfectly normal moment. It's a spring day, you have brown bagged your lunch, and you are outside in the park, happy to get away from work. There you are, sitting on a park bench. Sun is shining, children are playing. You are thinking of nothing in particular. Then a thought floats into your head about whether you paid the cable bill. Perhaps your girlfriend paid it this month. It was her turn after all. It's been working pretty well since you moved in together, nearly a year now. She still never wears that turquoise bracelet you gave her. You saw it again just this morning when she opened the drawer in the bathroom. You know that she almost never wears jewelry, but you wish she would wear it. She likes it, you know that. She told you once that rings made her feel like she was being choked. Sort of psychological, that. But you didn't say anything. You've gotten better about not saying stupid stuff. Maybe that's why this relationship is working so well. Maybe it's best not to ask too much of someone. At least you were smart enough to buy her a bracelet instead of a ring. But still, it would make you so happy to see her put on that bracelet one day, like on a Saturday before going to lunch at that little place by the river. Everyone always seems so happy at that place. Is the world like that, some places just happier than others? Uh-oh, there goes the clock tower. Now I'm late. This particular you was born at the thought of the cable bill and died at the sound of the clock tower. A new you, going back to work you, arises as you brush the crumbs from your lap and rise from the bench. Seen this way, what you think of as your self is really a never-ending series of small selves that get born and die away. The moment of birth is always the same. Some thought arises and we grab onto it. We pursue the thought lazily or obsessively, depending on the energetic or emotive state it arouses in us. We pull details from the world that seem to support or undercut our thesis and leave out everything else. We construct an imaginative film, always with ourself at the center, in which everything relates. Eventually, the energy of the state dissipates, and that particular version of self dies away. It gets erased by a new self being born. We get born in response to any event that affects our concept of self, either our current self or our future self. We notice our bulging stomach. This leads to a thought train of working out more, trying to eat better, the history of heart attacks in our family, and so on. Someone says something that might be offensive, you turn and walk away, and you instantly enter an emotional tunnel where you replay the interaction half a dozen times, endlessly rehashing what occurred. A stock you own suddenly bumps up 40%, and you enter a fantasy world full of the changes that money brings. Each of these phenomenal events gives birth to a self, obsessive, hurt, happy, potentially rich, that lasts only until that particular emotive state dissipates, or until it is killed off by another self being born. We experience these small selves, born and dying away, so seamlessly that they seem to form a continuous whole. But this is an illusion. Just as a smooth, moving film gets formed out of hundreds of film frames, this continuous self that we experience is not really there.